The girl on the Jerusalem rooftops, Suhaila Subhi Shishtawi, 89 years old. In early April 1948, raids hit the Arab village of Qastal, among others, which was on the road to Jerusalem, and an army of villagers was formed to defend it. At its head was Abd al-Qadir al-Husseini, one of the figures from the Great Arab Revolt of 1936-1939 against the Balfour Declaration. He was killed during a battle against armed Zionist groups in Qastal, leaving his men in utter disarray. On April 9, 1948, at his funeral, all the men from the surrounding villages came to Jerusalem to pay their final respects. The old town was black with people. I was small and as agile as a monkey, so I was able to follow the procession without being noticed by climbing on the ramparts all the way to Haram al-Sharif, where he was buried. After the rites were finished, on the way home, I passed a very agitated group of women. They were screaming, "Deir Yassin, dear God, the women, they're all naked, murdered, the women of Deir Yassin." Then I saw them. They were not walking. They stumbled, like a group of wounded birds flocking together for support. A sea of children barely 10 or 12 years old, survivors, they were bleeding, screaming their pain in silence. And for all of us who watched them pass by, that deafening silence was unbearable. Near Su' al-Husur, they stopped, and one of them tried to tell their story, but his words were muffled by his sobs. I then understood the seriousness of what had just happened. Knowing that the men of Deir Yassin had gone to the funeral of their leader, Zionist groups had launched an attack on the village, where there were only the old people, women, and children. They began by spraying each house with machine gun fire. Then they gathered all the survivors to execute some of them in front of the others. They took the women and did what they did to them. It is said that they threw babies down the wells. The boy who was speaking looked like my little brother. He had the same face, the same brown curls. He had been lined up against the wall with all of his family. He had fallen without dying. The survivors, some old people and a few boys, were then taken into one of the Jewish quarters in Jerusalem, just beside the village, to be exhibited. Then they were released. A total of 55 children from Deir Yassin became orphans that day.